Welcome back to another episode of the Tracy Take. Today, a Falcons fan is going to discuss the New Orleans Saints 2021 season, so it's going to be bad. But before we get into that, please hit that subscribe button and like and share this video to all your friends and family members. Ryan, I'm trying to be as unbiased about this as possible, but personally, I don't think the outlook is going to be that good for the Saints. I don't think they're going to have that great of a season. Losing Drew Brees, not just him, but as we're going to get into, they also lost a lot of other pieces as well, and didn't really. They replaced them with a lot of unknowns, so to say.
Yeah, no. Especially on the defensive side of the ball, they lost three starters on the defensive side, and they really only replaced them with one guy from Kansas City. I'm gonna butcher his name, but it is
I think
Tona Capsignon.
I think it's to know Capasignon.
Capsignon. Okay,
Anyways,
so I mean
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
who they're gonna try and replace a lot of that defensive production with, along with a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of guys who are second year or unproven guys like Marcus Davenport and like Zach Bond. And then they drafted Pete Warner this year. And so to me, they're putting all their chips on the development of these guys that are really unproven. And I just don't think it's going to work out for them. They got butchered by the salary cap this year. They had to cut a lot
Yeah.
of players just due to salary cap and the league not raising it this year. So for me, I think defensively they're going to take a hit, and offensively losing Drew Brees and replacing him with Jameis Winston is a huge downgrade. So
Yeah. Yeah. With just kind of wrapping up on the defensive side of the ball, losing Trey Hendrickson, who had 13 and a half sacks last year alone, was it's going to be a big piece to replace. They did draft Peyton Turner with their first overall pick,
mhm.
but he was a late first round pick. There is some promise there, but uh, that's going to be some lost production that is going to be really hard to replace. And I wonder if that's going to trickle down into the rest of the defense. They did only lose Janoris Jenkins in the secondary. That is kind of a big loss. But
Mhm.
in their secondary, though, we'll really see how talented Malcolm Jenkins is, Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Williams is, because I think amongst the three of those guys, they had 8 picks last year. But how did they benefit from having a great defensive line, or were they also able to lock down their guys as well? So it's going to be an interesting piece, and also who is going to replace Janoris Jenkins. It looks like Marshawn Lattimore is going to be CB1, but who's going to be CB2? A couple of sources that I have seen says
Yeah,
Patrick Robinson is going to be CB2, but there's a couple other guys that can fill in that spot. So really just kind of wrapping up what you were
yeah.
saying, a lot of unknowns on the defensive side of the ball, being replaced by several rookies and several second stringers that have an opportunity to start and be everyday guys.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Marshawn Lattimore is the only guy that
Mm-hmm.
I think is actually like a bona fide true like starter in that secondary. Malcolm Jenkins has had a really good career, but he's getting to the latter years of it, and so that
Mm-hmm.
defense is a huge concern for me. And it's an even bigger concern for me because you have the king of turnovers that's most likely going to be the starting quarterback for your offense. And then to me, another big concern is that Michael Thomas had ankle surgery in June, and he is not going to come back most likely until after week 6. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of his timeline for return. I don't know who else they're going to throw to. Their wide receiver two, I forget his name.
Traquan Smith.
Yeah, Tre'Quan Smith had less than 500 yards last year, and now all of a sudden, like I guess they're just expecting him to uh, become an extremely explosive and productive wide receiver. Uh,
Yeah.
they do have year 2 tight end Adam Troutman, but I just really don't see a way that this offense or defense is anywhere above average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did bring over Nick Vannett as well. They signed one of the few
Hmm.
free agency signings that they had. But I agree with you. I think the salary cap absolutely decimated really any moves that they could make, and they're hoping that a lot of these pieces
Hmm.
stay internally. Which and then when you had that plan, and then Michael Thomas getting the surgery as late as he did, that's really going to put a big damper in the plans
Yeah.
for the Saints this year. So it's going to be very interesting. One of the things that they do have, I did say a positive about the Saints. They do have a
Yeah.
good offensive line, according to PFF. I believe they have the fourth ranked offensive line, third or fourth.
Eighth.
Uh,
Eighth.
well, eighth last year, projected fourth this year.
Oh no.
From
So what I
uh,
read was that they were eighth. PFF ranked them as the eighth best offensive line going into 2021.
oh, interesting. Okay. Either way, still
Yeah.
a top 10 offensive line. They have one of the best tackle tandems as well. There's some question marks, I believe, with the guard positions, but some also improvements from there. Cesar Ruiz was a rookie last year, had some struggles, but can improve from there. He's their right guard. So having a solid foundation, at least on the offensive line, can help. But it's going to take just it's just going to take a lot of good
Yeah.
luck and good fortune, I think, for the Saints and for a lot of these guys to pan out and stay healthy. Because another issue on both sides of the ball is just going to be depth, really.
Hmm. Yeah. No. And I'll say my final thoughts after we get into the schedule. So let's just go ahead and do their schedule really fast, so
Hmm.
all the Saints fans can strongly dislike what I have to say about their team. So I have the Saints going 2-15, and this is obviously absolute worst case scenario, but they have a pretty rough go of it, in my opinion, especially to start out. So they start out, they play Green Bay and New Orleans, guaranteed loss now that Aaron Rodgers is back. And then they have to go to Carolina. And I actually really like Carolina coming into the 2021 season. And then they have to go to New England.
Hmm.
And then they play against the Giants, which is a toss up. But I think that Washington is probably just going to be too much for them. I think that Washington's defense is probably too good. I have them winning that game, but it's, again, I still feel like a toss up. And then they also have an early bye week, which is not favorable at all.
Hmm.
So then after
Hmm.
that, they have to go to Seattle, Tampa Bay, Atlanta at home, then to Tennessee. And then I have them beating the Eagles, which, again, that game's a toss up. And then they play Buffalo, Dallas, to the Jets, to Tampa Bay, Miami, Carolina, and then to the Falcons to finish it off. And that is
Hmm.
just, in my opinion, a pretty brutal schedule. They really only have, what is that, one, two, three, four, five ish games that are toss ups, and even some of them I feel a little less strong about uh, going into it. So
Yeah, I do want to say it's. I find it interesting. You have them going 0-8 at home. Was that planned, or it just turned out that way?
it just kind of turned out that way. I feel like a lot of the teams that they play at home are better.
Yeah.
Let me get back to it really
Well, I
quick.
will say, just looking at, you could probably switch. Like, I think they'll beat the Giants, but I think they would also lose to Washington. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it just what a gauntlet of a schedule. I mean, the NFC South is going to be tough. The Falcons
Hmm.
always play them tough, and the same with the Panthers. So, the NFC South
Yeah.
normally just been a tough division. They just
Hmm.
have tough divisional games. Uh, but then they're also playing the AFC East as well. As you mentioned, like it's not really an off
It's
week,
just
so
a
to say. I mean, maybe
yeah.
against the Giants, as I said, but
Yeah. And so, kind of how I would like to wrap it up is I just want to say to Saints fans that the Saints in 2021 remind me a lot of the Patriots in 2020. You lose your Hall of Fame quarterback, you have no money to spend in free agency, and you have probably one of the toughest schedules in the league coming up. And it's going to be a rough road for the Saints. But good news is you'll have cap space next season. You will probably get one of the best draft picks the Saints have had in the last 15 years.
Hmm.
And I really think that the Saints will come out of this a lot better. It's just this season, they do not look very good. It's just not a good outlook.
Yeah, yeah. It's this is for me definitely worst case scenario for them. I think best case scenario, I think they are a fringe playoff team going maybe 9-8. But that's only if all the question marks that we talked about uh, end up working out and coming through, no,
Yeah.
not really being bit by the injury bug. Because it just seems like there's just a lot of unknowns, a lot of rookie
Yeah.
pieces coming in that are going to be starting day one, as we mentioned, Peyton Turner and Pete Weber, and potentially even the third round cornerback pick, the Paulson Adebo. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be very interesting to watch. But I'm going to be more pessimistic for the Saints on the 2021 season, which I will say as a Falcons
Yeah.
fan, I don't mind that. So, but anyways, thank you again for watching this video. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button and comment on just your overall thoughts, especially if you're Saints fans. We love hearing comment and any feedback as well. So thanks again for watching and good luck to season Saints fans.